After 27 years and 1,010 different Pokemon, there are still 9 unused type combinations we have yet to see. Normal Ice, Normal Bug, Normal Rock, Normal Steel, Fire Fairy, Ice Poison, Ground Fairy, Bug Dragon, and finally, Rock Ghost. So today, your boy's gonna show you some of the best Pokemon designs we came up with for each unused type combo. But before we start, I gotta shout out the homies at Pipsquizmo for doing an absolutely amazing job bringing these designs to life. Go check them out. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. Normal Ice. Introducing Frosky. There's no way around it. This one's gotta be a Husky Pokemon. Huskies originate from the cold north and are a common breed of sled dog. That alone basically summarizes why this typing works perfectly. It can easily fit into a new generation as a 2-stage early game Pokemon like Poochyena, or even be implemented as a regional alternate evolution to Yamper. For the shiny form, we went for a color scheme based off another color Huskies can come in. I'm a really big fan of shinies that reference different colors the Pokemon's real world equivalent can be, and I think this one does a good job of that. On the stats side, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This typing sucks. It has an immunity to Ghost, and has a single resistance to Ice. Everything else basically kills it, especially fighting. One Mach Punch and this guy's dead. It doesn't help that this thing would have really poor stats due to it being an early game 2-stage Pokemon. Being realistic, its stat line would look something like this. Having the same BST as Boltund puts it in a position where, if it doesn't attack first, it's gonna die. To combat this, I gave it 2 abilities that not only help it out competitively, but make sense thematically as well. The first one is Slush Rush, doubling its speed in snow to make it function similarly to Lycanroc in sand. The second is Thick Fat, which isn't the greatest ability given these stats, but does help its bulk. It also just makes sense for a Pokemon based on an animal with good cold resistance. Despite a lot of these shortcomings, I believe this Pokemon would be a fan favorite. After all, it's based on one of the most lovable animals around. Fire Fairy. Ever since the introduction of the Fairy type in Generation 6, there was only one Pokemon in my mind that would perfectly embody this type combo. Mega Rapidash. Not making Mega Rapidash was the biggest missed opportunity. Not only is it a Pokemon that has just been left in the dust that needed a boost, it's also a flaming Pegasus. I don't know how this wasn't one of the first Pokemon they thought of to Mega Evolve. And with the existence of Galarian Rapidash, it only makes more sense. Mega Rapidash could kinda exist as a fusion of the two forms. Now here's what I believe a realistic stat spread for Mega Rapidash would look like. It's not the greatest, but given how good of a type Fire Fairy is, I think it's pretty balanced. And with the Pixelate ability, it's going to be firing off of big double edges and body slams that spread paralysis, in addition to Flare Blitz and the multitude of other strong physical moves it gets. For the shiny form, there was only one thing it could possibly be. Ever since the introduction of shinies, Pokemon players have always shown disappointment for shiny Ponyta losing its blue flames when it evolves. So we decided to rectify that issue by bringing those blue flames back in full force, and it couldn't have looked better. Next up, we got Bug Normal. Now this is a really odd typing, and was honestly quite difficult to come up with. The normal typing usually implies it's some regular old animal, or lacks any sort of connection to the other types. This directly conflicts with the bug typing, because if you made a Pokemon based off of a common bug with no connection to any other type, there's no reason why that Pokemon should be Bug Normal instead of just pure bug type. So I had to get creative. You see, Pokemon likes to attribute certain themes to certain types. For example, anything related to space is usually denoted by the psychic typing. Similarly, anything related to sound is denoted by the normal typing. And then it hit me. Kricketune. Not only is Kricketune a bug that is themed around the idea of music, it's also one of the only fully evolved pure bug Pokemon. As someone who has a soft spot for Kricketune, I always believed it needed a little extra. Now, I could have just retyped it to be Bug Normal through a Mega or Regional form, but my homie Kricketune deserves more. So we decided to take it one step further and give Kricketune a whole new evolution. Meet Kricketone. In my head, there are 2 types of Pokemon: Cool Animal and Lovable Scrimblow. Kricketune has always been more of the latter, and I believe Kricketone accentuates that even more. Every aspect of Kricketune is enhanced in this design, to drive home how grand of a musician it's become, especially its iconic mustache. I absolutely love the way this one came out. It just fits so well. There's so many little details in this design that just take it above and beyond. For example, Cricketone bears a very similar resemblance to the clowns from Generation 4, which is obviously where the Cricketone line originates. But going even further, these clowns have a bit of plot relevance in the game, specifically in Jubilife City, which just so happens to be around the first place you can catch Kricketot. For the shiny form, we played it safe, and went with the same theme as Shiny Cricketone, which I think works really well on Cricketone. On the stats side of things, I may have made Cricketone a little overpowered, but to be honest, I don't really care, because I think my homie Cricketone deserves it. Cricketone is 100% a beefy, special attacking Trick Room mon. It's got very low speed, but great bulk, and a monstrous special attack stat to compensate. Think of it like a bug version of Hatterene. But what makes Cricketone special is its new signature ability, Symphony, which makes it so sound-based moves can't miss. This makes the move Grass Whistle a staple in this Pokemon's move pool, in addition to the Stab Hyper Voice, Bug Buzz, and Boom Burst that will hit your opponents like a truck. Surprisingly, Bug Normal is actually not a bad type. The Bug typing cancels out Normal's weakness, making the second typing only a benefit. Offensively, it hits a lot of stuff for neutral or above damage, and also gets great resistances in Grass and Ground. It's not the best typing, but certainly not the worst. All in all, Cricketone is perfect.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Next up, Bug Dragon. There's one Pokemon that has always pissed me off for not being a Bug Dragon type. That Pokemon is Yanmega. It's quite literally a dragonfly. So today, I'm gonna correct that wrong by giving it a Mega form. We decided to really accentuate that prehistoric vibe by giving it more dinosaur-like features, to really drive home that dragon typing it was always meant to have, especially since Pokemon likes to denote dinosaurs with the dragon typing. However, once I got to the competitive aspect of this Pokemon, I quickly realized a huge problem with this Mega. Yanmega doesn't learn any dragon moves. Now, as boring as it is, this basically forced my hand to make it have an ability that changes normal type moves to dragon type. Stats wise, I decided to completely flip Yanmega from a special attacker to a physical attacker, which complements its move pool and primal nature better. Even though I knew this wasn't true, I've always viewed U-turn as the signature move of Yanma and Yanmega, probably because of how dragonflies move around, but regardless, it's for that reason that I designed Mega Yanmega to be one of the best users of the move, being able to outspeed nearly everything in the game and hit with one of the strongest stab boosted U-turns possible. Given how strong of a move U-turn is, I think this mon could be extremely potent in the right hands. Base Yanmega has the ability Speed Boost, which opens the door to this mon being very unpredictable. It can protect on the first turn, activating its Speed Boost, and then increase its sweeping potential when it Mega Evolves the following turn. And if your opponent anticipates the protect, you could instead immediately Mega Evolve and swing with a Stab Dragon type Double Edge. And even if those two options don't work, Mega Yanmega could just utilize its main move and U-turn out of there. For the shiny, we decided to keep the normal color scheme of Shiny Yanmega, but with a slight adjustment. I've never been a fan of how muted the colors on Shiny Yanmega are, especially considering how vibrant Shiny Yanma and even real-life dragonflies are. So we decided to make the blue more vibrant to bring back some of those Shiny Yanma vibes, and I think it turned out great. And finally, Rock Ghost. Now coming up with a Ghost Rock was way harder than it should have been. Why? Well, we have a lot of Pokemon that should have just been Ghost Rock. Golurk is Ground Ghost. Sableye, who's a little gem creature, is Dark Ghost. And the one that boggles my mind, Runerigus, the literal pile of possessed rocks, is Ground Ghost. So not only did we have to come up with an interesting concept that made sense, we had to come up with an interesting concept that made sense and wasn't used already. But despite this, I think we were able to nail it, introducing a new regional form for Spiritomb. Now look, I know what you're thinking.
That's just a stupid boulder!
Our regional Spiritomb here is based on the Killing Stone in Japan. The legend goes that Tamamo no Mae a legendary nine-tailed fox spirit, was sealed in this rock, located in Tochigi Prefecture in Japan, on March 5th, 2022. The rock split open, and Tamamo is now free. So because of this fairly topical event, we decided to base our rock ghost type around it. You see, our little friend here has a new signature ability, an ability that when hit with an attack, changes our little rock friend into its unsealed form. This form of Spiritomb is completely unbound from its rocky prison, free to do anything it wants, and get up to whatever mischievous activities it desires. Its tails and subtle beastly features reference the legend it's based on. Its stats now reflect this change, switching from slow and bulky to a speedy special attacker. It's also important to note, its stat spread is essentially just a scrambled around version of normal Spiritombs. For this new regional Spiritomb, we wanted to give it a really good shiny, to match its already amazing color scheme. So we decided to completely flip the colors, resulting in one of the best shinies of all time. Now, I'm fully aware that Game Freak would never make a shiny like this, since they seem to be allergic to edgy shinies. But these are my Pokemon, so I'm gonna make them as cool as possible, and make a shiny that's definitely worth hunting for. Overall, I really like how this one came out. A lot of Pokemon nowadays go way too hard on the theming, to the point where it takes over the identity of the design. While we had an interesting concept to base our design around, we mainly prioritized making a cool looking ghost first, and the concept second, which is how I personally believe Pokemon should be designed. Again, I gotta thank the homies at Pipsquizmo for doing an absolutely amazing job bringing these concepts to life. Make sure to check them out and give them a follow. We still got 4 more type combos to cover in the next video, so make sure to smash that subscribe button so you don't miss it. I'd love to hear what you guys thought of these Pokemon we created, so don't be afraid to drop some comments down below. I make sure to respond to everyone, so tell me what you'd rate them out of 10. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao fellas.